And now it's time for the last panel, and I'm here. I have the honor to introduce and switch with Manuela Martra from the European Commission that will present you the next stage.
Thank you. Thank you, Sanya. It's such an honor and a challenge to receive the microphone from you. We both come from the same country with a little bit of different accent in English. So first challenge. Second challenge is to keep alive your attention after such a great keynote speech. But I promise you this panel will be as well very great for many reasons. One, because it will bring you closer to the final drink and networking after this great event. And secondly, because we really have a representative of key stakeholder with whom we want to do two things. First is really to think how to wrap up the lot of food for thoughts of today, and also going from the many national initiative, good practices that we have heard throughout the day, and thinking, how can we escalate? What is the potential really, and then to have a different scale and to act at European level? And secondly, we will also reflect what are we going to do next as of tomorrow. And having said that, now I need a bit of company, and so I will start by calling on stage the representative of the Safer Internet Network in the person of the CEO of Child Focus from Belgium, Neil Broothaerts. Please, Neil, come here. And then we will go to Portugal, and we have the pleasure of inviting the Deputy Director General of the Ministry of Education, so Maria-João Horta. Thank you. And now we are moving a bit southward to Italy, and we are with the Vice President of the University of Florence, big expert on cyberbullying, Professor Ersilia Menesini. Welcome, Ersilia. And last but not least, we go to Estonia, and we have back a young person, so the youth, from the Youth Advisory Board, Liise. Please, Liise, come here. And this is actually the only panel where an adult can ask questions to a young person, so I have really the privilege to do that, and then please also Jessica to come back. So we start with Ersilia. Because we really want to navigate through the main topic of the day. And for sure, cyberbullying was one of the most cited one. So reflecting a bit on the experience of Italy from the legal perspective, the policy perspective, what can you share? I mean, and what have you learned so far?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks a lot. I'm very happy to be here, and it has been really an insightful and nice day. And about what can I share from Italy, I think that one aspect that has been important in the recent days, in the recent years in Italy, is mainly an important legislation that was approved in 2017. And is the first law on cyberbullying that has been approved across Europe. This is an important law because it set the scenes for a more educational approach to the topic of bullying. It has been approved in the name on behalf of a very sad case of a victim who committed suicide in Italy. And the focus was really on schools and on the possibility that school can make a difference. And so for this legislation requires that each school has to select a referent teacher who is in charge to prevent cyberbullying, and recommend that in each school there should be some kind of policy. And that's why, in the meanwhile, from 2017 up to now, we have worked a lot on the possibility to implement the legislation, because I think one important aspect is also how to implement the law. And the implementation was carried out through a platform, Liise, that is a platform devoted to teachers. It's an e-learning platform to train teachers to be prepared to address and prevent cyberbullying. And it's also devoted to other figures in schools, like head teachers and the referent teachers specifically. And it has another important action, which is also to monitor the problem of bullying each year. So we have two tracks on which we work, the training for teachers and also the evaluation and monitoring of the problem each year at the end of the year. What is impressive in this project is the impact that it had, because we have more than 20,000 teachers that was trained in the platform, and we had around 200,000 students who took part in the monitoring and evaluation. So this has been really a big effort, together with the Generazioni Connesse, which is the Safer Internet Center in Italy. And in the Generazioni Connesse, we had also I would say an important intuition that has been recently included into the new law. The intuition is that in each school they should develop an e-policy in order to prevent bullying and cyberbullying. So the idea of having this policy, which is a kind of document or a program that the school can set up in order to prevent the problem, is very important. And this, in fact, has been incorporated in the new law. Recently, we had a new law that was approved in May 2024, and this is defining the need of each school to have a code to prevent bullying and cyberbullying, and the need at the national and also at the school level to have a kind of board, including students, teachers, possible no-profit organization and experts that can help in order to work on this topic. So I think all in all, the experience of Italy is to work on law, but also on how to implement the law, how to use some infrastructure and instruments that can help really to carry out the law.
Thank you, Ersilia, very clear. So now we move to another topic, which was also the kind of fil rouge, is really the impact of technology and the use of technology on mental health. We know that during the day, the kids spend most of their time is at school, although, of course, then we have just heard that they, basically they never leave their device. And then we also know that there are new rules, a robust EU framework, notably the Digital Service Act. So with Maria-João, now we would like to hear a bit what is the approach currently in Portugal, what the Ministry of Education is doing for the well-being of the kids, and also for bringing their new rights closer to them.
Okay, thank you very much, Manuela. It's a pleasure to be with all of us. So, with all of you. I'm going to try to be very brief in my first topic. So I'm not going to go deeper in the several activities that we have in Portugal at the level of Ministry of Education, because I think that all of the countries are trying to do the best that they can. But allow me to go for the vision of all of this. It's not possible to do it without the students and without the families. So mainly when we go to, and I really enjoy this expression of Professor Jessica, engagement by design and disengagement by design. I'm a teacher myself, so in all my life, I keep to engage my students by design, putting them with activities that, well, enroll them and putting them with a very active role. So having this engagement is something that, well, put me a bit in a not comfortable area of doing the things. But again, going in the issue, the things of well-being is, they are very, very important in terms of the work that we have been doing with the schools. Schools are not anymore just places for students to learn about content. It's much more than that nowadays, and we have to redesign the schools for that. The questions of the well-being and also this life between online and offline, this should be issues, and I'm not saying that they could be in the curriculum, because when we go to the curriculum, and I myself as a science teacher, I keep having this tension between the content that I have to deal in my classrooms with other topics that many times are transversal, but in the end, my students, they have to learn about sciences. So again, let me move to the beginning of my intervention. Agency of students, agency of the families. We have to put these people working together, discussing, and this forum, well, show us very well that the students can do it. They think about, and they have this position of saying, well, this is important for us, this is not important for us. So again, and now coming to Portugal, in terms of our safer internet consortium, with lots of stakeholders working together, we have to put this in our agenda. Having more room for students to work, not just inside the school, but in the community. So that's many of the things that we are trying to put in the field in Portugal. So having this huge network of digital leaders. We have this João and Marta with us today. Last year, different students, but they are not alone. They belong to a huge network that it's doing activities and promoting the discussion, because we have to go deeper in the discussion. We can just receive the things that companies are doing for us, or the things that we think that companies should not doing for us. So students in the center of the activities, and also the families. I was yesterday in the advisory board, and we had the representatives of families. Today I spoke with a colleague of mine that was seated behind me about the role of the families. We have to have them more actively inside the schools. Nowadays, school is not just for the questions of knowledge, it's much more than that. So all the issues of the society should be inside the school, and we should organize ourselves in terms of different dimensions. Of course, again, the dimension of the knowledge is very important, but we have much more to do, and that's the path that we are doing in Portugal.
Thank you, very inspiring and very challenging at the same time, because to bring parents in school is not easy, and we consistently find still a lot of difficulties in reaching them. But we keep hope. And now we move to the third leitmotif of the day, which I heard in many sessions I attended, and it is reporting challenge, reporting fatigue. The kids beautiful define it like the kids monopoly. It's like the monopoly game that you know when you start, you never know when you are going to end, and most of the time you give up because time is over. So, Nel, we have been together also in many safer internet center and forums, sorry. I remember when we had the theater and, the approach, for instance, to raise awareness of kids on sexting, this kind of issue. So that is the kind of challenge you come across for your awareness and centers activities, but you also have an helpline, you have an hotline, so this challenge of, of course, engaging more the young people and also getting the trust and being sure that then if there is first to educate, but when there is a problem, then to really make them feeling that you are there, you know it very well. And you work a lot at national level, without mentioning how complex is Belgium, so not just exactly federal, national, local, whatever, at European level, international level. So a lot of experience. Now tell us what are still the gaps. What can we do next?
Thank you, Manuela, and we can do so much more next. First of all, I've been in this field for 17 years now, and a lot already has been done. If I look back at my first Safer Internet Forum, which was a very long time ago, we were in a whole different level playing field. A lot of things have been done also on the European Commission level, also on a national level with the Safer Internet Centers. As you said, from a Safer Internet Center perspective, we are what is called an all-in-one organization. We have an awareness pillar, we have a helpline, and we have a hotline. And linking to what you said about reporting fatigue, it's really something that is very important. More and more we see concrete links between our helpline work and our hotline work, where before those were separate entities. Today both must be very well combined, because on our helpline we see a lot of cases of non-consensual sharing of intimate images or grooming or sextortion. Images are linked to it, so our hotline has a role to play. And I think that it's this 360-degree approach that we now trying to provide to our victims, to put it that way, is something that really we can strengthen also on a European level. The reporting fatigue is crucial, and a lot of the reporting fatigue comes from the fact that young people feel like, I won't bother report what I'm dealing with, because what would they do? What are they going to do? How can they help me? Probably they can't. It's online and everything is gone. So we really try to build on this trust and tell young people, call us, we're there for you, contact us, we can help you. But then we ourselves are being confronted with important thresholds that we cannot conquer ourselves. It has been mentioned today many times, the DSA is a very, very important piece of legislation and framework that really help young people to enhance their rights online. But it does not apply to interpersonal communication. And the majority of victims who are contacting us about stuff going wrong online is going wrong on WhatsApp, on Instagram messages, on this interpersonal communication. And we really have to find a way, all together, I think, also with the important pieces of legislation and regulatory framework, to make sure that we can genuinely tell young people, we care and we will try to help you if something goes wrong, even when it's in interpersonal communication, because today we try to do the best as we can, but sometimes we have to leave them hanging, and we have very tragic stories of young people reporting us sextortion within instant messaging, and we can only act at the moment that it really pops up online. And that's horrible. If we talk about mental health of young people, mental health also has got a lot to do with knowing there are people who have my back. And I really think we do have their back in every country, for every helpline, in every Safer Internet Center. But we can do more to have their back, but we need the tools to be able to do that. Same goes from implementation of already existing frameworks, such as the Better Internet Kids for Plus strategy has amazing, amazing things we can do and put in place. It's a strategy. I think we have to make it our legacy. I think June has done a lot of good work to try and make it her legacy, and she definitely managed. But I think if we want to go one step further, we need to assure implementation of all of that in every member state. And some member states are more active than others, and some member states are very complex, as mine. Other ones are less complex. And if I hear the way you do things in Portugal, I can really feel that on a policy level, it's really embedded in what you want to do. That's more difficult in Belgium, for instance, and I know also for other countries. So I really do think we have to continue push and thrive to make sure that all these great strategies really become implemented actions and that we really can create a legacy and make sure that we can build on that for the future. Again, not for ourselves, but for the young people dealing with it on a grassroots level every day. If you want to see parents, if you want to see schools, yeah, then we really need those safer internet centers on a member state level to really make that difference. And definitely when it comes to reporting, we have to make sure that we mean it when we say to young people, we have your back and we will help you if something might go wrong.
Thank you, Nell, and I think most of your reply resonate well also with what we heard in the opening panel when our Deputy Director General was sitting here, and she kind of, already announced some of the broad lines for the next commission, and for sure also to make sure of, consistent and strong implementation of the legislation, but also really looking at where are the gaps and addressing in streamlining and not add really one more layer or more red tapes. Now, under the Better Internet for Kids strategy, one pillar is of course about the respect, youth participation. We want to hear the voice of the young people to understand what are the problems, and we have been really very committed in doing that. Now, you have an extra challenge, because we don't just want to hear what are the challenges, but you should tell us what are the solutions for all the challenges that we have heard today. So, very easy. So, Liise, do you think that, for instance, what schools are doing is enough? What do you think we can really do together more in order to succeed?
Yes, thank you. From my perspective as a young person, I'd say the challenges around about mental health and cyberbullying and emotional damage, which is caused by cyberbullying, are in our lives on a day-to-day basis. Are schools doing enough? I'd say yes and no. While some schools are stepping up, there's many schools that look to problems reactively, not proactively, or so. But yeah, the other thing that I want to add is that we need to make a cultural shift, because to make mental health and digital well-being as important as academic success. So yeah. The other thing that I want to add is that we need to prioritize education on digital well-being, but not just the safety first perspective. We need to learn about emotional resilience, how to help our peers, how to foster some skills in digital platforms, and how to be responsible. So I think it can be a one-time workshop. It has to be a curriculum. Like for instance, it has to be lifestyle. It can't be a one-time sugar crash diet. But yeah. And the third thing that I want to add is that we live in a digital society, and it's moving forwards. I don't see a reason to ban, because like we have come so far with the 20 years. Imagine what are going to be the next 40. There's no reason to stop, and teachers and students should empower using AI, or not to be against it. So yes, these are the main three key points that I find solutions to be solutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Liise, especially for stressing how it's important, to have a balanced approach, that there are always opportunities and challenges, both sides. And with this, we have finished the first part of the panel, and we can move now to the second part, which is really looking at tomorrow and exploring a bit the takeaway from the day in a very concrete way. So I can start with my wish. So I will buy myself an analogic alarm clock because when Jessica was speaking, I said, oh my God, that is me, and I was not in the research. No, seriously, one takeaway, apart from all the keywords we have already explored, is how also international cooperation is more and more important. And I was so glad to see that, for instance, this year the youth panel was really kind of international, and there were kids from Australia, kids from Ghana, really able to participate, to have their say, and not just about what they are feeling, but what also, the place where they are living is equipping for the challenges. And we really saw that there are common patterns and features, and this has definitely to be continued. Now, for the takeaway, I will start with Jessica. Okay.
Oh, takeaway. After giving a keynote, I'm not sure if I have a takeaway anymore. But I think for me, my takeaway is actually the day. There's not one thing in the day, it's the inherent infrastructure used to build the day. The example of youth at the center that I want to see is in the DNA of this event. And I think it's actually an exemplar to many other events where I don't see this happen. So for me, the takeaway is showing, look at how it can be done. Let's see it elsewhere as well.
Thank you, very encouraging. And Nell, for you is a challenge, because after so many Safer Internet Forum, what can be really different this time?
Thank you. After so many internet forums, I think what really changed over the 17 years is that we more and more start to understand what we should be talking about. I think 17 years ago we were talking phenomenon and social media as a block of a thing that we needed to deal with. And I think by now we are grasping what is really underneath and what are really the main things, and that we don't have to talk about social media, but that we have to talk about mental health, and that we don't have to talk about platforms, but about cyberbullying, and we have to talk about the dynamics that are underneath, and that social media and the whole digital world are only a vehicle that will also show the dynamics that are in society. And I think it's very enriching to talk about those deeper dynamics rather than just the novelties that are coming up, but really think about how do they drive underlying dynamics and try to work on that, because I think that will be a sustainable solution for the future, because then anything might come up, but we will be working on what is really crucial.
And Maria-João, what you will put in your suitcase and travel back to Portugal?
Okay, so let me just put these two dimensions. So we have the dimension of participation, which is very, very important, and I think that we should have more networking at that level, and we are very committed with all the regulations and laws that I think they are important, and they are coming from the level of European Commission, but also with other providers like European Schoolnet. We are very involved with European Schoolnet and all the work that we've been doing in sharing the activities between countries, receiving countries and visiting others like Belgium. And the other level that I think it's very important, which is the research. And I think that the keynote by Professor Debbie and now the keynote by Professor Jessica show us that we need research, we need data, and because for taking action, we need to be very strong, because the decision is not because I think that certain activity should be interesting or important for my students. So then act at the national level, at the regional level, and local level with the schools, which is very different, because when we decide to have recommendations like we did in Portugal, recommendations for digital well-being, recommendations for the use of mobile phones in schools, this is something that we design at the national level because we are in connection with many other countries, and we think it's important, and we try to see evidence by the researchers. But then we have to be very aware with the things that are happening and the reaction and this bottom-up approach that the schools are doing with the community, with the families, with the students. Again, sorry to repeat this, but the agency of the students and the families, understanding what is the part of them, because we keep saying that, well, the students spend much of the time inside the school, so let's ban mobile phones for them to have a social, real life. But then they arrive at home at 6 and they spend hours and hours and hours with the mobile phone in their own hands. And the family is saying, well, the school is solving the problem, so let's let them being with the mobile phone, because during the day they are not using it. So it's not just a question of recommendations and, of course, the laws and all this stuff is very important at the European level and more than that. But, well, we have to share more the work that we've been doing in our countries, seeing the results. And again, the students' participation is not because they are there saying what they think, but it's active participation. That means that they are taking part in the decision. And that's the work that schools have a lot of work to do on that. So my final words is about agency of the students.
Thank you. And Ersilia, if I'm not mistaken, this was your first Safer Internet Forum, and you came here as an expert for cyberbullying, but the day was very rich and wider than cyberbullying. So what has inspired you, and you will bring back to Florence?
Thank you. Well, we have heard about the profit of the companies this morning. We have heard about the risk of the children. We have heard about the policy of the states, of the countries, of the European communities. We have heard a lot, but I think that the problem is not simply the child who is standing alone in front of the internet world. I think the problem is more complex, as Jessica said. I really agree with her. We should not make it too simple. The problem is that together with the internet and the child, we have the families, the peers, the schools, the teachers. We have lots of environments that are connected and can moderate or mediate the relationship between the child and the internet. So let's invest on this context in order to have a brighter future for our kids.
Thank you. And Liise, what are you doing once back, apart from your own work that you could not do in these days?
Thank you. In this conference, I thought of I could do like a group session of teaching how to foster some skills in online or so, because the main thing that I learned today is that it's so much easier for youth and youngsters to understand the topics when the other youngster is speaking. So I think I'm going to do that in my school and start the cycle.
Thank you. Good news for your teachers, Maria-João. They can retire because the kids, yes, it can help a lot. And with this, I think we came to the end of this final panel. So Big round of final applause, please, for the panel. Well done.